in the mood for Easter. So this goes well with the season that we're in. So what is the correlation? Is it important to be spiritual in your marriage? And is it okay if the two of you have different opinions, different ideas on how to handle your marriage in this front? We'll also be looking at foods, guys. It's the holidays, so we'll be making some amazing, our set will look very good. And we'll also teach you how to make the perfect ribs for your family. This is still in the holidays, and we'll have a very young poet who's also a published author, 16 years old. What were you doing at that age? Question. But let's start the show with the quote of the day. So today's quote says, "Today is Easter, but what does it mean? It's a time of renewal for each and everything." That is Sharon Gardner. It says, "Today is Easter, but what does it mean? It's a time of renewal for each and everything." I like this quote because that's how I'm going to start the show, with our very own in-house strategic love, life coach, relationship, all that put together. She is amazing. Shazmeen Bank, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What does Easter mean to you?
So I think till I understood it a while back,
Yes.
it really represented chocolate eggs and the cutest bunnies. And then you grew up painting eggs perfectly. But I think now we sort of understand it has such a deeper meaning to it. It's beautiful, but I also feel it's something people celebrate in a beautiful way. It's like family gatherings. It's like a mini Thanksgiving. There's food. Everyone comes together. I'm just kind of wondering, I hope everyone values, even if it's smaller gatherings right now, more than we ever have.
That's true.
We used to take for granted the fact that we could meet whenever we wanted.
Yeah.
We used to take for granted, gatherings that I don't want to go there, this person's there, that
I'm
family
busy,
member.
I won't be available right now.
Yes.
Whatever little chance you get to just be around people that you love, you take it.
Exactly.
Because apart from the small gatherings, we've lost so many people last year and this year. So take time to actually appreciate those who are actually here with you.
Exactly.
We're talking about something very interesting.
Yes.
And I think it's dear to you as well. We're talking about spiritualism and marriage.
Yeah.
Which you're both. You're married. You're very spiritual as well. But what's the correlation? How important is it to understand this from the get-go, even before you get into a marriage setup?
So I feel the first thing I feel with relationships is they need to be more conscious now than they ever have been before. If you look at every sort of marriage that happens, except in Las Vegas where Elvis can marry you, it all begins in the eyes of God. For any kind of religion, if you look at it, it's either in the church, it's in the temple, it's in the mosques, but your union as a couple coming together is sort of brought together by God. And that's the essence of it. But why? It's because I feel at some point you don't marry each other for religion. You marry each other to experience spirituality together. Because I feel that's what marriage is. It's this spiritual it moves you, it pulls you in a way that nothing else can. And so I feel in this day and age, it's so important to consciously, when you're picking somebody, realize, are we both religious? Are we not? Are you more religious and I'm a little more easy? Yeah. Are we both strong-headed about religion and we're both from two different faiths?
Yes.
So I always tell younger couples that it matters now more than it ever has. And something I love that the Christians really do, and I have a friend that's going through this right now, is they have the pre-marital
counseling.
Right.
Yes.
I feel that is magic for young couples.
It just happens for the Christians?
It's
you no
it's something
God, I didn't know that.
I find it so beautiful because I think you're coming into a whole new world.
Yes.
And here you have classes to be able to break it down from finance and intimacy and in-laws and just how is it going to work with the two of us.
Yeah.
When I was talking to a friend that's going through that, I was like, that's so beautiful because it's setting you up to mentally know what you're going to get into. And she says that her fiance is so much more religious, and that's why they're even doing the classes. But it's because she's so easy, so they're in the same religion, but she's just more relaxed about the religion. But
Okay.
he is someone that has preached and talks and really believes in the youth, you know, to come up and be born in this way.
Yeah.
And so I found that very interesting between the two of them, because they're in the same religion, yet one was more strong than the other. But it worked beautifully because he was able to pull her to be like, let's do this for our marriage. And that's what I found amazing.
Yeah.
Because when I talk to so many people about God in religion, God in their marriage, religion in marriage, or just spiritualism, which is completely different, so many people say we feel the glue to our marriage is God. Because at some point when everything's failing in that moment, you sort of have trust and faith that somebody put us here to be able to work through this. But I feel in the last like 20 years, it's changed. Now you have more intercultural marriages. Even, you know, as Muslims, you have the highest number of American Muslims in the world. 25% of them now actually marry interfaith. Yes, which I would say 30 years ago was a taboo.
It was a taboo.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You have Hinduism, which, you know, will sort of be very open to all religions, but will still insist it's very important to marry in the culture. So it's a beautiful dynamic, I feel, because you have so many things going on. But I feel when it comes to marriage, there's something powerful about knowing the two of our lives begin with purity. They begin with the eyes of someone watching our actions.
Yes.
I, as a spouse, might not know what you're always up to.
That's true.
But if we have faith and we both fear in a positive way someone that knows our actions, that means I won't hurt you when I have a chance to, and you wouldn't hurt me when you have a chance to. And if you look at research that now shows a lot of couples that cheat in a time like this, a lot of it is because people have lost that essence or that fear of God in relationships.
So you feel like you can do whatever it is that you're not
Anything.
answerable to anyone or anything.
Exactly.
Not even your partner. And if you're not answerable to them, then definitely.
You're not answerable to the person that sort of created you.
Yeah.
But then also, what is religion? What does spiritualism bring into a marriage? It sort of pulls your morals. It sort of pulls your values. It sort of aligns you as a couple as to where are we going?
Yeah.
What are our thoughts together? What are our thoughts apart? Because I believe there's some journeys you can always do hand in hand as a couple.
That's true.
Many.
And I like that you mentioned, or you started the story, or this conversation with a story about this couple that they're in the same faith. One is a bit relaxed, but the other one is really, really in it and was able to pull the other one in.
Yes.
But then we have some couples, they like each other genuinely, but they have very extreme beliefs in the opposite directions. This is how I was brought up, this is what I believe, this is what we do. Then the gentleman is like, this is how we do it. And then there are compromises. What happens in such cases where I feel like mine is the best, he feels like his is the best? We're going to be talking about that. But if you have any questions, please send them in. 111 444 111. We'll be right back after this break. Happy Easter to everybody, and welcome back to Full Circle with Mukali Shazmeen Bank in the building. We are talking about spiritualism and marriage. And we've talked about an instance where we're in the same faith, yes. It's just that, I can just show up in church on Sunday and that's it. I believe in the same thing that you believe in, but, like life is just. Then there are people who have extremes, like I said before we went on the break. How then do we deal with that? Yes, we love each other, but then there's this, and then religion and spiritualism is something that is very personal, or should be personal.
Yes.
And then now I have to look at this situation and choose yours over mine, or they choose mine over theirs.
But this is why now conscious relationships. Be conscious when you're getting into a relationship, because I feel religion is a fundamental chat that should happen the minute you feel, I think I could spend the rest of my life with this person.
Yeah.
That topic should be something you're addressing. That should be something you're looking at in the person. Do they behave in a beautiful, godly way? Do they not? You know, are their morals completely different from mine? I've pulled all my morals and values from my family, from tradition, which has come from religion,
Yes.
which keeps me on the right path, which has me know there's someone greater for me out there always. But then when you come into a relationship with somebody who might feel, okay, but my way is the only way.
Yeah.
But then I always look at it in a beautiful way to say, if one way was the perfect way, then God would have stopped it that way.
That's true.
But he went on to create so many different cultures and religions because there's a beauty in picking from everything and being able to say, this would serve me in a beautiful way. And so I feel couples should be able to do the same thing in that way. If you've got two headstrong couples that say mine versus yours, then you need to sit and have this chat and say, at some point, if it's going to be a deal breaker between you and me alone, what happens when the kids come in?
Yeah.
And we're already so headstrong about it. Which church are we going to on a Friday? Which church do we go to on Sunday?
Yeah.
You know, is it your family versus my family now? Is yours practicing better than mine? And I feel this is a topic that can break friendships, it can break communities, it can break marriages. If you don't sit and understand what's the beauty we could pull out from each other. Of course, it's always simpler when you are in the same religion, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll stay together forever, or it doesn't necessarily mean you won't have problems. But it does mean that in some areas of your life, it's an argument you don't have to have.
Yes.
It's a fight you won't have to have with each other. But for couples that are extreme and you are dating, because there's no way you'll realize that when you're married suddenly. So talk about it. Talk about these traditions from my family would mean a lot to me if we did them together. Because there's always a way to compromise. Marriage, the whole institution of marriage is compromise.
A huge one.
Huge. So I would say personally 70% of it is compromise. So if you're not able to do that with the beginning, with the basis of your marriage, then that's a deeper conversation the two of you have to be able to have.
I like that you brought out the children, because that will be what will happen then. Because, well, maybe we love each other and we decided, you do your thing, let me do my thing. When the children come, then is that the time to have that conversation? Is it too late to have that conversation?
Okay, that's a good one, because is it the time to have that fight?
Oh yeah.
Because if you have not
it is a fight, not a conversation
exactly,
anymore.
because if you've not sorted it out in the beginning, to have the wisdom to say, when we have children, what's our compromise?
Yes.
How about the children learn from the two of us? Because I know so many couples that are interfaith, because that's where the whole generation's going now. Everyone's traveled, everyone mingles, everyone meets in different ways now. It's no longer your family's pushing you to meet this family because our hopes are you two will fall in love. Now you're in different parts of the world, you meet each other in different ways. So it's more common now than ever. And there are couples in these interfaith that they are so beautiful. I have two friends that are married from two interfaith religions. They handle it so beautifully. They go to each other's different...
that's an option?
Yes.
Okay.
And they do it beautifully. And they say, and something like I love to say is that, you know, you want the child to always practice the essence of God.
Yes.
You want the child to be able to feel love, feel respect, but to see God going on between the two of you. And so they do it in such a lovely way, because already the events are in different calendar dates of the year. So why not compromise and do it all? And that's what they do. And so the guy's actually Muslim and she's Christian.
Okay.
And so she says during Ramadan, I'll not eat pork. I won't bring it into the house. They compromised on no alcohol in the house. She was fine with it. He compromised with she can have wine when they go for dinner. So they found a beautiful way to be able to make it work. She will fast during Ramadan to give him that support, so he feels...
I'll pull you in for Christmas.
Exactly. And he loves it, and they get a tree because now the children love it.
Yeah.
And like Easter right now, it's like the children will learn the essence of Jesus, what he stood for.
Yes.
How he went today. What is the essence of Easter? But it's a beautiful thing for a child to learn. It's not something wrong for the child to learn. So it's how, as a couple, you can make it work. And there are many couples now that are making it work. But it helps somehow when they're both easy about it.
The compromise bit comes into play.
Right. It has been taxing on a couple that feels I've been married for a while, but now I'm feeling religion matters, spirituality matters. But you have somebody that feels, to me, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
But you feel I'm growing this way and I'm getting closer, but I want to talk about this growth with my life partner who just doesn't feel what I'm saying is relevant. And so you're already feeling I can't connect with them on this journey. You know, you have so many beautiful couples when they're going through the hardest times in their life, even with coaching, with some couples, it does come down to God. Before you will split, before you will divorce, before you make huge decisions, it comes down to God. It doesn't mean God's told you stay and suffer in some circumstances, but you consider God before you make certain decisions. But now what happens when one person just doesn't feel it?
Yeah.
And you're left feeling alone.
When you look at relationships or probably marriages that happened back in the day, it was usually the woman who would be like, get up in the morning, prepare the children, let's go to church, and the husband will be asleep.
I still do it. That's my household.
And it happened a lot. Like most of our fathers, and if you met your friend and their father goes to church, you'd be like, oh my God, he does.
Yeah.
That's weird, because all the fathers we know, most of them would just be like, yeah, here's your sadaka.
Right.
Go, you know?
Yes. But I think, you know, like I'll give you a personal example.
Okay.
So like in our family, we'll try as much as possible to be able to pray together. But there's something beautiful when you can sort of explain religion in a beautiful way to your child, and then you can all grow up with it together. But in the same voice, I've seen couples do it with children that are in two different relationships, but they probably do it better because they are so sensitive about not hurting the other person's feelings that they will talk about these things in a nice way.
Yeah.
And some children sometimes end up a little confused, but what they say is that we're exposing you to different religions. Go beyond even ours. Learn all religions and then choose what fits you in your heart best. Or take little bits of everything and know that God, at the end of the day, we worship in different ways, but He's one. He's the same person that's created every single human being on earth. But so in my example is I'll be the one waking everyone up at 5:30 in the morning. But it's nice that you do wake up together and you do pray together and you fast together and you have all these different traditions together. You sort of feel as a family more bonded. But in the same breath, I've worked with some couples where they were very comfortable getting married this way, interfaith. And then you had children and interfaith worked because they followed the parent that was most strong in religion. But when something goes wrong in the relationship, now is when this will come up. Now is when our interfaith becomes a problem. Now it's when my religion would have never allowed you to do that because you don't believe in God enough, you are doing that. So there's a whole dynamic shift, I feel, in marriage before in our parents' generation compared to marriages now where people get into it a lot more easy and then realize, okay, there's God. And then I'm hitting 35 and 40. Now He's sort of playing a bigger role in my life. We never discuss this. Now the children are growing up and they're asking, is there a God? Is they know God? We never discuss this. So you've got to be able to talk about it as a couple in the beginning. And look at all possibilities. As my faith grows, what happens with the two of us?
It's a very, you know, when I said, you know, Dad's sleeping and stuff, so hi, Dad. And later on, I remember, because we said he grew up going to AIC. And, well, as a child, I can't remember him, like, going to church, you know, like, let's go to AIC and stuff like that. So we found our own path. My mom grew up in PCA. Okay. So later, we started going to a different church altogether, me, my brother, and my mom. So we're doing this for a couple of years. And then randomly, Dad says, one day, I'll wake up and go to AIC and you will all have to follow me. So he hasn't been doing anything about it from the word go.
Right.
But when he says that, when he changes and he says, I'll go to church now,
Right.
then we all have to abandon everything. He's the leader of the family.
Right.
And mom was okay with it. It's like, if you go to church, because that will be a win for her. If you go to church, and that's the same thing we're saying,
I'm
God
okay.
is God.
Yes.
If you decide that that's the church you want us to go to, we will go.
Yeah.
But can you just wake up one day and go, and then we'll follow you?
But this is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because when you hit a certain age,
Yes.
suddenly the novelty of chasing this world dies.
Yeah.
And you start to hear a little voice. Because now life, the reason of life, your purpose of life, something's now talking to you.
Yeah.
Was this it? Was it to earn the merc? Was it to struggle for the merc? Was it to be famous? Was it not? Was life more and deeper? But that voice comes from somewhere, comes from a creation that called you. So that pulls your dad, but he'll do it in a very manly way.
You'll have to just drop everything.
Exactly. But you see, it's beautiful what your mom did. The win is you found God.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
If we have to turn ship, we will do it for you, but we do it as a family.
Yeah.
But now that's her generation, which is the generation that compromised, which is the generation where women listen to men in a different way.
Yeah.
Nowadays, say that to a younger woman
It's like, what are
who's
you
working and who's earning, will be like, sorry, but you
Say
weren't even
what?
showing up till
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going my way.
You go your way. But it's never too late to have this conversation, and that's what we're saying. So that
Right.
the bigger picture is they found God. And instead of pushing them away, well, they're just trying to get in. Because I think what happened was mom actually started going to AIC. Like, I'll change churches. As I wait for you to come, well, dad never showed up. So she went back. She went back to what she was doing. We're still hopeful. We're still very hopeful that
It's
it will
Easter.
happen. It's Easter. It's Easter. And so let's talk about this season. It is very specific to Christians, I think, because probably I've grown up, listening to the Bible and the preachers and what Easter is all about. So what happens in this time if you are like in interfaith?
Well, I think if you're the person, on the other side, go with your spouse. Why not? The essence of Easter, when I learned it and understood it, blew me away. Okay. There was pain, yet there was release.
Yes.
There was sorrow, yet there was finding.
Victory, yes.
Right. When you look at Easter and you break it down into your own life, look at even COVID right now. It's like there's something quiet and ending, yet something will awaken at some point. I just feel if you're a couple, why not compromise and do it together? Why make it difficult for each other? That wasn't the point of being married in the first place. So it's a time like this to be able to honor and sit down and even ask your spouse, has the meaning of this day changed as you've grown older? I want to know. I want to learn. I fell in love with all of you. All of you meant this day mattered to you. This day now will matter to our children. It matters to your family. How can I show up to also show your family I support you?
Yeah.
I'm the right one for you. So I just feel in a time like this, make it work. It's such a beautiful day. How do you not make it work?
Deal breaker. Say, for example, you have met a man and you really like them. And, the first days you meet, probably conversation of religion and spiritualism is not part of it. So you grow to like this person.
Yeah.
And then you find out they actually do not believe. And it's a conversation that is widely had, that I am kind, I am loving, I am caring, I give to the less fortunate, I do good things.
Right.
But I do not, belong to any religion or any faith. I probably just believe in love.
Right.
Will that be a deal breaker? Should it be a deal breaker if I come from, a conservative, religious, spiritual based family and beliefs?
Because at some point it will matter.
It will matter. For sure.
So at some point, in a nice way, when you have been married for a long time, when love changes and evolves in a different way, and you both have forgotten to evolve with love changing, now you need your spouse to be able to understand this day matters to me. It's not like the first 2 weeks when you met.
Yeah.
Now a lot's diluted down. Now will this person compromise? Will their kindness and their love and their generosity be enough to support you on this day? Or will it not? So you've got to be able to think, and this is why before you get married, ask questions that matter to you. If you have somebody that wants to live on a beach and that's the life, compared to you wanting to have a completely different life, it's already showing you that we're in two different directions of our lives. But I feel religion is a basis that can glue two people together, or it can end up being a friction with each other. So does love transcend this sort of point in our lives? Can you be somebody that will compromise for me, and will I compromise for you? And if somebody can't compromise on simple things like this, then you have to ask yourself in the beginning of a relationship, then is it important for us to stay together or not? As much as I love you or I don't. And you'll have some people who then turn around and say, maybe God didn't choose this person for me. Was my test to choose somebody that would bring me to him spiritually? Or was my test to be able to just love for this moment and follow the lust in this time? So it's a whole dynamic around religion and spiritualism, because the ultimate union, I feel, of a couple coming together is so you both eventually find God together, yet in your own way. Because what God will mean to you in your practice is very different sitting and praying next to the same person in your life. It's very different to them. The challenges you're thrown and how you look at God to solve it will be very different to the challenges they're thrown and how they solve it with God. But when the two of you have each other, and sometimes when there's no advice to give, like I'll give you an example. You know, it's a joke in our household. You know, when Mo goes through something, I'm always like, do you want the wife or you want the coach? It's always a joke. And if he says, no, I just need you as a wife to be able to talk to me, probably 98% of the time my answers are, well, you know, if you believe in God, Mo, then you have to be able to have faith. You are where you are. Almost 98% of my time will be a godly response, because that's where our marriage is. So in a funny way, it's like when you don't have God, then you're consistently choosing the coaching option to be able to help each other. But there's something deep in a when you're like, yeah, okay, I trust God. You're right. And you can talk to each other about it. And you can grow and have faith with each other about it. And then see your children also follow the same. But the same still being, we can be interfaith and our children are still following the essence of God, just finding him in a different route, in a different way. It's Easter here, it's Hanukkah here, and then it's Christmas, and we're doing it in all ways. But our children get exposed to so many different ways. But then it's your job as parents to also be able to address confusion, because it happens a lot.
That's true.
So you've both got to be able to sit down and really break down what's the essence of God in our marriage to each other, and then what is it going to mean to the child.
On the flip side, looking at people who got in, they were on the same page, things happen. And maybe you feel like your God or whatever you believed in let you down. We've seen people grow into, or having been brought up in a certain faith, and maybe you're even in leadership, and then something just happens in church or in your temple, mosque, whatever, and you just feel like they let me down, and you need to change. You change at that point and decide, I'm going to take a different path. What happens then? We're already here. We walked this journey. We were meant to be. We loved each other. And then now what?
So do we love each other to go through a new path?
Together.
Right.
Oh my God, what? They didn't come at me. They came at you. Okay, oh my God. Yes, well, I see what you're saying.
Right. And you know, it's never going to be black and white in relationships.
No.
Never, ever. You're going to live in gray. You want to be married? It is gray as hell. Because that's why I say gray is full of compromise, gray is full of sacrifice, gray is adjustment all the time. It can't be, now you've chosen to not probably believe in God for this time and period. I'm out of here. Yet for some people, it's a big deal. Because the essence of, what do you mean you don't believe in the person that created you? To me, that's everything. I'm breathing because of somebody that created me. And you're now saying the Big Bang Theory matters more to you. So there are some people exactly now where relationships break up because they're just not willing to compromise on the fundamental essence of probably what made them and what keeps them going. So this is a big part of relationships other than cheating is marriage, where marriages come to an end, because the older you get,
Yeah.
the more spiritually inclined you do get. And so when you can't do that now in companionship with the person you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with,
Yeah.
the person that is now moving from lust to now being friendship for the rest of my life, then what do we have? Or how do we work it?
I see you. I think this is coming from a couple that lost a baby, and they're just like, God, how would you do this to me? If you were there, you would have protected my child. And somehow they just drift away.
Yeah.
And most of the people who find themselves in this situation just end up probably even losing the marriage itself, because you stop believing, you stop hoping, you stop having faith. And you're just like, I'd rather be alone and just live a reckless life.
You know, I see so many situations like this, and
Yeah.
even in my own personal life, you know, my husband's sister lost her daughter at 28 to cancer.
Okay.
And this is a woman that is super, super, super religious. But then at some point felt, I've lost God, because God wouldn't do this to me. But everyone gave her that space to moan. Because when you grieve loss, like you're saying, what if it happens over a child? You are grieving more than anyone could ever comprehend, especially as a woman, and a lot of men also. So it's about giving someone space and time to grieve the loss, and then at some point you'll see that loss somehow puts meaning back into your life. And so many people do come back and find God again, because they realize nobody could put me through difficulties. No one in the world can give me a problem like him that I cannot come through. So that if he gives me a problem and I love God enough to give me this problem, then who am I to even complain against God when he knows I can bear it? But then somewhere along the line, there's just the human essence part of you that feels, because I can't see you and I can't touch you and you're not physically here in front of me, I've lost hope. But then hope can always be found.
That's true.
So it's sometimes as a couple to be able to say, can I be with my spouse right now and allow them the space to grieve this loss enough, and not put the sanction of God immediately down their throat? But then maybe at some point as we both heal, my partner might just come back. But what if my partner never comes back and they fundamentally change as entire human being, which will normally just be a lot of pain and feeling broken? Do you leave somebody at that point?
Oh, goodness.
So it's a whole dynamic. That's why I said it's consistently gray. There's never black, there's never white.
There's never white. And
No.
we're coming to the end of this conversation. They're counting me down. One last one. So you are married to someone that is not religious. So they've never shown you that that side of them is actually there. You're hopeful as the wife or as the husband that maybe one day they will see the light. Maybe they will find a direction. What do you do as you wait? Because you're already in it. We have children already. I'm still hopeful that that will happen. What if it never happens?
Well, then you chose.
Yes, you
Then
did.
you chose to get into a relationship knowing this is where they stand.
Yes.
And it's my expectation and my hope that you will.
Yes.
So I cannot, if you don't change, punish you for it.
For that, yes.
I'm coming in knowing this is who you are, and I will love you for who you are till you pass away. But then it cannot be fair to at some point turn around and say, I thought you'd change and you didn't.
It wasn't
They
on
didn't know
them.
that, right? So it's your choice. And that's why conscious relationship, conscious thought. Choose who you want to be with from the beginning.
Yeah.
Understand who they are, know their characters, understand religion and the ethos and the importance it would matter to you, and then to them, and then to you together, and then to you as a dynamic, as a family, then your extended families.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you've got to be able to think about with religion before you come together and get married.
Oh my God, my time is up. You know how we do? You can slide into her DM. She says yes to your DMs.
Yes.
And with all your questions, and she will answer all of them. Shazmeen, your IG handle.
You can reach me on @BeingRealNow. Voice note me. I'd love to talk to you, listen to you, and we can connect on this topic, and let's see where we can go.
All right. That's it for now with Shazmeen. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. Don't go too far.